Well, it's finally arrived. My octave cat, or Behringer cat, or is it the Behringer octave cat? Let's open it up and find out what they call it. So here we are, it's the cat, the legendary duophonic analog synthesizer, as it says on the box. And what do we have here? A Behringer sticker, a charger, and this time with a UK plug. If you've seen any of my other unboxing videos for the Behringer stuff, I buy it from Thomann sometimes in Germany, and they keep on supplying it with Euro plugs, which they shouldn't. They should supply it with a UK plug. It's European law, and I whinge about it, and I get loads of comments about how whingy I'm being. And there we go. It's a really, really nice looking synth, that. I know it's obviously based on the original design, but I love all these knobs and sliders and the nice bright red and the bright white. Really, really quite a sexy little synth indeed, this. And like all the new Behringer kit, all their new synths, it's a really nice, really well built, solid little unit. Metal with wooden ends. And just feeling the knobs. Oh, it's a bit wobbly there. But this is a glass top, so it must be wobbly. Anyway, all the knobs and switches feel absolutely bang on. And I imagine these sockets, like the others, are pretty good as well. Let's just try them. Yeah, everything feels really solid, which is what I've come to expect from all this stuff from Behringer. So what have we got on the back? On the output, we've got a low and a high. We've got MIDI channel selector. We've got the power on and off, and we've got the power supply, obviously. It's 12 volt DC, and just remember, some of the Behringer stuff is 9 volt DC. So if you've got 12 volt and 9 volt, and you really don't want to get sort of steam and solder sizzling out the back of your unit, make sure you use the correct transformer. On the front, we've got USB MIDI and 5-pin DIN MIDI in and MIDI through. We've got a range of CV inputs. We've got gate, we've got VCO1 and VCO2, we've got the VCF, we've got the resonance, and we've got external audio, and we've got the VCA, so the amplitude as well. And on output, we've got keyboard CV, we've got the gate, we've got ADSR, and we've got the AR envelope as well. Plus, we've got phone out and an extra main out as well. Useful if you're sticking it in a Euro rack. I'm really excited to get into this for some reason. I mean, I suppose I'm on lockdown and there's not that many exciting things happening, and I ordered this ages ago. Okay, I've just had a little play around while it's been warming up, and it was really wrecking my head actually. I've been making a video series on my Patreon page called How to Program Almost Any Synth. The idea being you can pick up any synth and you can work it out without a manual. You know, because they've all got the similar parts. They've all got VCO1, maybe a VCO2, they've all got VCF, and a couple of envelopes, at least one envelope, one ADSR, an AR, an LFO, some noise, modulation sections, maybe some sync, maybe some FM, you know. So I thought, well, you know, as I've spent the whole of lockdown making this series, which is running up to about 6 hours now with 17 episodes, and I've been doing nothing but playing with synths, I thought, oh, this will be a cinch. But oh my God, it's quite different, this. And I'll show you why. So you put the filter up, turn the volume up, put the ADSR on some sort of standard curve, turn the resonance down. We're not going to hear anything, obviously, because we haven't got any of the VCOs turned up. So turn VCO2 up. Quite simple. Turn VCO1 up. Nothing. These are all a different wave shape. You've got a sub-octave, you've got a saw, you've got a triangle, and you've got a square. And on VCO2, you've got a sub-octave as well, and you've got a square, and you've got a sawtooth. I say square here, it's variable pulse width, so it's a pulse really. But nothing. And I'm looking at everything, and these are obviously modulations. So you've got an LFO, the LFO speed here. So you can obviously use the LFO to modulate the oscillators. You can use the ADSR, the AR, VCO2, so that's a bit of FM. Same over here. You've got LFO sine, LFO square, sample and hold, and that'll be for the pitch. So you know you can look at most things and you can work out what they are. But where's oscillator 1? So VCO1 audio is off. So I'm assuming this VCO1 audio is going to be FM for the filter. And when I initially turned it on, sync was on here, and I had the coarse tuning quite high. So I turned it on, I'm thinking that sounds like FM or something weird going on there. But it was sync, so it really had me scratching my head for a while. Okay, let's turn all the modulation down. And there we've got oscillator 1. So oscillator 1's turned on here, and make sure you haven't got sync on, because oscillator 1 is synced to oscillator 2. So it's oscillator 1 that's going to sound weird, as I'll show you. So that's oscillator sync, not FM over here. Just something to be aware of when you first get it out of the box and you're trying to make a noise. So let's have a little play then. And I've no idea if that's in tune or not. I've not got a tuner handy. So if you've got perfect pitch, I apologise. So let's have a listen to the waves quickly. Let's just turn that off completely. Sawtooth. Triangle. And the pulse. Goes through 0, and then let's say the sub. So square. Meaty. And oscillator 2, we've got a sub as well. Is that 2 octaves below then? No, 1. And we've got the sawtooth as well. And that's not really bright, is it? It's got quite a mellow tone, I think. So we've got a poly and a mono mode on VCO1. Let's put them both on a sawtooth. See what poly does. So it's duophonic this, so on mono, poly, I'm assuming this will be duophonic. Yeah. Keyboard control off, but I suppose it hasn't got a keyboard. Wonder what that's for. Oh, keyboard control of oscillator 1. Listen. So this must mean, looking at that 0.2 Hertz, that we can use this as an LFO as well. So let's modulate the pitch of oscillator 2 using oscillator 1 with keyboard control off. It's not doing much, is it? So you have to have the audio level turned up on oscillator 1 in order for it to be used as a modulation source, I'm assuming here and here. So I'm assuming that that LFO, that sawtooth there, that can be mixed. Cool. Let's try that with a filter as well, shall we? Just turn that down there. Put the filter halfway. Turn the modulation up. Ah, really nice. Now I'm beginning to appreciate what the cat does that's different to other synths. This is really cool. So VCO1 is an LFO as well. And we've got the separate LFO here, the standard LFO, and that can be assigned to modulation on VCO1's pitch as a sine, a square, or with sample and hold. The same with VCO2 and the same on the VCF. So let's try sample and hold on, let's try it on the filter, put the resonance up, Turn that down. Turn this up. And the sample and hold, we can use VCO1 or noise. Let's put it on noise. Because what we've got there, it's sampling a part of this waveform at that frequency to create that tone on VCO1. So it's not exactly random. So you can do that on the Odyssey as well, but using noise. And we've got noise level here for noise as a sound source. All pretty funky, innit? So octave shift, let's just put a standard sound on again, shall we? Let's get rid of all that madness. Bring that back to here. So you've got plus or minus an octave there. Some glide. Oh, turn keyboard control back on, shall we? Reminds me of Kill Bill, that. Okay, so we've looked at VCO1 and VCO2, sort of enough for now, I think. Shall we have a look at mode A and mode B on the sync? So. That sounds like typical sync to me. Bit glitchy in places. On mode A. Much glitchier. So I wonder how that works. Let's try mode B again, and let's try and automate that using the using VCO1, using the ADSR on VCO1, or using the AR on VCO1. So let's have a bit of attack, bit of decay, put VCO1 onto there, modulation depth up. Bit of release on there. Let's have that negative then. So all behaving quite nicely. I should do a complete walkthrough of this actually, rather than just sort of haphazard, let's have a play. But it's fun, it's out the box, and I'm on lockdown, so let's have a play. So next up then is the filter. Let's turn sync off. Audio one on, modulation off. Okay, let's turn the resonance up then and see what's happening. So just be careful of your ears, because these can go a bit nuts sometimes. Let's. Just trying to get a flat signal. Let's add a little bit more resonance. Whoa. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's nicer. Put some keyboard control on. We can get some nice stuff out of that. If I can get rid of the clicking. But let's carry on with the resonance. Let's turn up a bit higher. I'm getting 3 peaks there. I'm going to turn it down again. And nice. I love that though. So let's see if it'll track the pitch. Let's get sawtooth up. Quite difficult to find if you don't know where it's going to be. And it's about 1 o'clock. You get filter tracking, but it's so hard to tune. I don't think anyone's ever really going to use it for a tone that relies on filter tracking. But the filter tracking goes mental. So you've got an octave here. Then it goes to... So just over 2 octaves. But it's a nice sounding filter, I think. Let's try and make some sort of proper tones with it, shall we? Modulate it with ADSR. Add a bit of sub. All sounding quite nice again. Sawtooth, bit of triangle, bit of sawtooth, maybe the sub from VCO2. And let's just go for a bit of PWM, shall we? Put that on LFO, sinusoidal. And the keyboard mode isn't last note. Not sure what that is. But you'll be able to change that in Synth Tool, I imagine. Okay, moving over to the envelope generators. And I've found with the new Behringer stuff, the envelopes have been the weak point actually. So this will be interesting. Let's put a sawtooth. Just seeing how snappy they are. I'm not getting the sort of control, and I found this on the Crave, and I thought it was similar on the Pro 1 as well. It's much more difficult to sort of gauge when you've got two envelopes rather than one, because you've got the interaction between the VCA and the VCF envelopes. But when you just got the one, it's easier to see that you're not quite getting the snappiness you'd like. Let's turn the Q up. Let's have this adjusted by the ADSR, yeah. Let's just turn that down and let's listen to just the filter on its own. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? Don't feel like I'm getting as fine a control down here, and I found that with a couple of them. And it's only an issue if you're really trying to get some real fine control over some snappy sounds. But for doing that, so the minimum is just the click, and then we go to the second sort of level, which is this. So you're not getting as fine control over the really, really snappy envelope settings. I'd expect to have a few more tones before I got to the whoop whoop. But that's a good kick. Let's try and do a snare or something, shall we? It's not awful, but I imagine it's nowhere near as controllable as if I had a vintage octave cat in front of me. And if anyone's got one they want to lend me so I can do that test, more than happy to take it off your hands for a couple of days. But you can see it is snappy. And it's loopable as well. We've got gated, off or auto. And that's synced to the LFO. Which is a nice touch as well. So you've got an LFO here, you've got an LFO on VCO1, and you can do LFO-y things with the ADSR. It's not a separate LFO, obviously, because it's synced to the LFO itself. Ooh. Okay, gated means I've got to be holding it for it to loop. Whereas also, it'll carry on. Bit like the Odyssey. So there's my very quick, let's have a little play with the cat, get it out of the box and just get a feel for it. Really interesting synth. Nice sounding filters, nice sounding VCOs, and I love the way it's set up. Always a shame about the envelopes, but there's got to be something if you're getting a synth at this price that's not quite the same as, you know, as a really expensive. I think these are about £1,000 or more now. Probably more like £1,500 for an original. So £300 for this, great value, and it gives another set of flavours, doesn't it? And also it's nice to be able to have something that doesn't act like everything else acts, which makes you play around and come up with different things. So I think I will do a full walkthrough of this at some stage, but for now, I hope that was useful to somebody somewhere, and if it was, please subscribe if you haven't already, and maybe check out my Patreon page and try and have a look at some of those how to program almost any synth videos, and see if you can do better than me with this. So until next time, until the walkthrough, cheers.